In this video I will demonstrate how to gain access to the sensor on a Zip Series golf cart. I'll start off by removing the screws for the housing, followed by gaining access to the controller. So we'll start off with these screws. I have a Phillips head screwdriver attached to a power drill. I have a smaller Phillips head screwdriver which will help for the inside, and also a pair of pliers for disconnecting some stuff. A piece of cardboard or foam that you can use to put the screws into the correct order. So we'll start off from the left and work our way around. As I remove the screws, I put them in the same pattern that I took them out. This one's a little bit deeper, so you may need a different size or different length attachment to access this screw. Okay, that one's out of its place. I'll get that out a little bit later. And again, a longer attachment helps. Just removing this screw in the center here. And also, if you have a magnetized tip on the end of your screwdriver, it helps to allow you to get the screws out a bit easier. Moving on to the one on the other side. Unscrewing that until I can feel it disconnecting from the lower piece, and then moving on to these ones. And then the bottom two. Okay, so again, keeping that same pattern that I took them out of, I should now be able to release that housing off. As you can see, now I'll remove these four screws from the four outer screws from the motor controller. I'll just place them up the top. And now I can access the controller. There's another four screws that need to be removed for the cover. Take the cover off. I'll just place that there with the screws in the cover. So this is your sensor here. Not sure if you can see that very well, but that's the sensor which runs straight into the controller, which is here. So we can disconnect this lead, but you need to get access to the two screws on the inside of the gearbox. So what we do now is take this housing away. As you can see, there's those two screws. I can just leave them in the housing. They won't get in the way. And now we have access to the gearbox. You'll see there are two screws that need to be undone to remove the sensor from the gearbox. So using my finer Phillips head screwdriver, and get onto these two screws. This one, just be very careful not to lose it. They are very small. So taking one out. And the second, just really carefully, like so, and this will now allow you to take the sensor out. You can just pull it out of the housing. It's a bit of a wiggle, and that's your sensor there. So this piece here is what reads the magnets on the inside of the gearbox. So again, for demonstrations, we'll fit this back in. You can see there's only one way that this sensor will go back in, and you slide it into its area here until it's in position. And again, being very careful with these two screws not to drop them into the cavity. And just screwing them in until firm. Again, as they are quite small, can be a little bit fiddly. Just put it in like that and it's perfect. And then screwing it up until firm. Done. So the sensor's back in position and we want to reconnect. Again, this can only go one way, so just plugging that connection back into the controller. On a navigator, your controller may look a little bit different, but it's the same connections and the same principle applies. So having them, all the leads back into their housing correctly, will then fit the case back on, like so. And again, just careful not to drop any of the screws, and we'll fasten this up. Okay, so now the controller is back in position. We will feed the controller through the housing, like so, and mount the plastic housing back in position. And again, remembering those two screws are still in there, and then just making sure that these wires are not pinched anywhere. They're not going to get caught up. Just make sure they're nice and free and this housing sits in position correctly, and then sliding the controller back into its position, we can fasten that up. The 4 screws. Okay, so that I don't forget, I will start off with the 2 screws that are sitting here. So just making sure that's all nice and firm, it's in the right position, and then we'll fasten these 2 screws on the side by hand. Again, if you have a longer attachment, you won't have any issues getting hold of that. But again, just a handheld screwdriver until firm on either side. Okay, so that's nice and firm now. And then the top screw, just because they're the 3 that I use the handheld screwdriver with. Just until firm, don't have to over tighten it. There we go. And then we'll start off by fitting these back in. So starting off from where I left. Again, as mentioned, you don't need to do it overly tight, just as long as it's gripping into the other housing until it's firm. Okay, so now the housing's back on, the controller's back in position. You can connect your battery to the cart and just make sure that the measurement is being read, and that's how you replace a sensor on a Zip Series buggy. Thanks for watching.